Welcome to The Clown is Down, where you can get mad at us for our opinions. This is Keith.
And I'm Pete.
And in each episode, we will be bringing out our innermost feelings about a wide variety of subjects, from action figures to crosswalks,
Movies to beluga whales.
So sit back and give us a listen.
Remember, we're doing this for you.
Double remember, it's just an opinion. All right, welcome to The Clown is Down. This is Keith.
And this is Pete.
And we got a new episode coming out today. We actually have a guest. This is our second guest.
Very special second guest.
Yes. Pete, you want to do some introductions?
This is Dave, the otherwise known as the Phantom Troublemaker. Are we still using that moniker?
Yeah, from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, like for special occasions, children's birthday parties, that kind of thing.
That's a good bar mitzvahs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Dave is the host of a podcast called Needless Things, as well as Audible Interlude. Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Needless Things started, technically the website started in like 2009 as a MySpace page. And then
do you still have to log into it?
Man, I could get into it if I needed to. Actually, a couple of years ago, I got into it just to try and get all the pictures and stuff to publish them on the Needless Things website, which is now oldneedlessthings.com because I'm an idiot and I'm bad at planning. But anyway, it turned into a website, and then I got into podcasting like every other white guy with a beard. And now I'm on episode. Well, I don't know when this will come out, but by the time this comes out, I will have at least 375 episodes of Needless Things.
My God.
Man.
And then Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, is an offshoot that we're doing monthly. Right now, it's the first Friday of every month, and it's just three pals who love G.I. Joe, grew up with G.I. Joe, and we talk about different stuff every month.
That's great, man. That's really, really cool. And you're liking the podcasting? You're digging it, obviously.
I mean, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now, so I guess that sweet podcast money is hard to deny.
Wait, you're getting paid for this?
No. But you guys are paying me,
dream.
right?
That's the checks. We'll get you on the way. We'll get you. The door girl's got your money.
Yeah, right. So you're on the way out.
Yeah, so you're on the way out. Drink tickets for everybody.
But no, I love talking about toys, movies, music, and all manner of pop culture dorkery. And that's how you got to look at it. You got to love just doing it. You can't really. You're not going to start a profession.
Not yet. Maybe we will. Who knows?
Maybe someday.
Maybe this podcast thing will take off, and we'll all make millions upon millions of dollars talking to each other.
That sounds good.
Keith, what do we got today?
All right. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about the day the music died.
Jesus.
Sorry.
All right.
I don't know. I was trying to come up with something.
It was good.
So, the day the music died, what's the first thing that makes you think of?
Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, the plane crash. Clearly they died. That's what I think of.
It's the first thing I think most people think of, like especially myself. The song American Pie. It's 8 minutes, 37 seconds by Don McLean. Is that how?
McLean.
Sure.
Don
McLean?
Yeah.
McLean? John McLean? No.
Yeah.
Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean. The bald guy with the earring.
It was a number one hit for 4 weeks, starting on January 15th in 1972. I personally like this song.
It's on my Waffle House top 3.
Yeah.
I wonder if they get any residuals from that.
Well, I have a pleasant, my memories of it is like back in my early kitchen days for me, you know what I mean? Like on a Friday or Saturday night, and in the rush, it would come on, and it was kind of, I don't know, when it started picking up, it was kind of for me, it was a good song to be cooking to, and you knew it was just going on for 8 minutes.
You knew you could get the order out. You knew you had time as long as the song was playing.
Yeah, I know. This is 8 more minutes gone. But the meaning of the song has a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about today. So the actual title, The Day the Music Died, has been commonly referred to that horrific plane crash that took the lives of Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Giles Perry Richardson Jr., also known as the Big Bopper, and Roger Peterson. He was the pilot.
Don't really hear about him.
I appreciate that you mentioned the pilot because nobody ever does.
Yes, yeah, when I
I
was
would never
reading
even
that,
thought about that.
yeah, I was
Right.
like looking at it and I saw it in the pilot. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, it was a tiny plane. Those three weren't flying it.
He never hit a gold record.
Yeah.
No.
But the actual song itself is more than just those souls that were lost that day. The song included a lot of different artists over a span of time. It was kind of like moving into a new decade and welcoming the new era while ushering out the old. Now, Don McLean never really reveals the actual meaning of the song. He said, "You will find many interpretations of my lyrics, but none of them by me." Then he would go on to say, "Sorry to leave you all on your own, but long ago I realized that songwriters should make their statements and move on, maintaining a dignified silence."
What a pretentious twat.
Yeah, seriously. And people love that song. They, they play it at happy occasions, sad occasions.
I thought it was about pie.
Yeah, I mean, what you drove your Chevy to the levee,
Yeah.
the levee's dry, you get drunk, you drive home. I don't know. It's a long. I liked it a lot better when I was drunk at the Waffle House many years ago. That and Hey Jude.
Dun, dun, dun. On April 7th, 2015, the lyrics and notes were sold at auction for $1.2 million. And in the sale catalog, in the notes, McLean revealed the meaning to his song lyrics, and it meant that he would never have to work another day in his life.
No, he nailed that one, man.
No, he did say that, but that's not what it was at that point.
What a prick.
That's great, though. I kind of love that. Now I've turned back around. Now I
Yeah.
like
No, he did say though, but he did say that, but what he said, what it meant was basically in American Pie, things are heading in the wrong direction. Life is becoming less idyllic. I don't know what you consider wrong or right, but it is a morality song in a sense.
Jesus.
So that's going to
back
be
to pretentious.
Yeah, right back.
So that's going to be our history lesson today for
that
the
prick.
day the music died. And now, but that kind of like leads into what we're going to talk about. The day the music died on some of our favorite bands we were just in love with. And all of a sudden, boom, they just put out that one album. And just after that, you just broke up with them. It was just over.
Was it always one album? Like your choices, you, Dave? Was it one album?
Let me tell you, is when you guys brought this up, because you were guests on my podcast. Everybody should go check that out. Needless Things. Check out the Clown is Down episode, Forgotten Toys of Yesteryear. And you guys brought this up to me after we recorded, and immediately, almost before you were done talking, what popped into my head was One Hot Minute. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh.
Okay. So was One Hot Minute the point?
It was, well, okay. So from 1984 to 1991, Red Hot Chili Peppers put out what I think is some of the best music ever made. They are, to this day, one of my top favorite bands. Blood Sugar Sex Magic is a top 5 album for me. And the top 5 of everything. It's perfect. It's incredible.
It's a great album. It's amazing. It really captured like a good
that
point
era,
in time. Yeah.
But also the height of musical creativity for these guys that have been through so much stuff and had really made, like, whatever you think of the Red Hot Chili Peppers at that point in their careers, the decisions they had made had brought them to the point where they had the luxury of creating this incredible piece of art. And it was all downhill from there because everything they recorded after that is straight trash.
Oh, everything? Like
everything.
I don't mind Mother's Milk.
No, Mother's Milk is before.
Oh, okay, that's right. I got
Mother's Milk is Mother's Milk was the one before. That was the one where they kind of hit it big.
Yeah.
And started really getting some attention. And then Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and then the album after Blood Sugar Sex Magic was One Hot Minute, which it was one of those things where it came out and I loved the band so much that I tried for a while to make myself like it. No, this is okay.
Into it.
I don't really like any of these songs, but it's a good album, right? And then finally just one day had to accept this is just not very good. And then Californication came out, and that was their full lunge into adult contemporary and irrelevance.
Yeah. It was department store music.
So yeah, absolutely. So I still love, like, you can go into Belk's and hear Red Hot Chili Peppers now. So I still love
Catholic schoolgirls rule.
yeah, right. Up to 1991, I still love that band. I still love the music that they made. Some of it is what the kids call cringy now in retrospect, but I grew up with it, so I recognize the flaws, but it's also part of my pop culture experience, so I don't throw it in the trash because of that. I love it, man. I love that band, but they lost me. That the day the music died was whatever day One Hot Minute came out.
I can picture that album cover. It took me
because it
took me a
sucks.
second. Yeah.
The fucking weird, like, German children's book or something.
And I to be fair, I was never a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. I liked them up until Mother's Milk, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I enjoyed them. I listened to them. Keith, you gave me a bunch of videos and CDs because you were into them. And I guess there's a gap for me with that band, from Blood Sugar Sex Magic to what they are now. They, like you said, adult contemporary, pretty much adult contemporary. And I guess I never noticed that transition for them. I never noticed it happen.
So Keith, you're a fan, or were a fan, or are a fan.
Well, see, I'm going to echo your statement on that, because that was one of the ones I had selected too. Red Hot. I mean, I was obsessed with them.
Right.
And my last album, I was, same with you, was Blood Sugar Sex Magic. That was the last album that I was like, okay. But for me, that album, it kind of felt more polished. And I was kind of worried. I was kind of worried, like, I was like, oh, because I was so used to like for me, Freaky Styley is my all-time favorite of the Red Hot Chili Pepper albums.
Yeah.
That was it. That was my favorite one. And I remember I heard Mother's Milk first, but I owned Freaky Styley first, like, because at the time, that's just what I could buy.
Okay.
So it was what was there. So and I remember I had what was it, Uplift Party Plan, and just their self-titled.
Yeah.
And then they were one of the few bands where I actually bought the Pretty Woman soundtrack just to get Show Me Your Soul.
Yeah.
Off of. And I remember like getting Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and I was like, man, this is it felt different to me. It took me a while to get into it, but I did. I still listen to it to this day.
Well, I loved it because that intersection of creativity with the means to express yourself as perfectly as you can, I guess, because they had the money and the influence at that point to truly create like this thing, whereas previously, the production maybe wasn't as there as they would have wanted. Like, that to me was where these two things intersected and they were able to create their perfect art.
I mean, I am 100% on board with everything you just said. As soon as that next album came out, I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Kind of like idea. And I was just like, I just can't. Never. And then I would just hear songs randomly, on the radio afterwards.
And they were all the same, and they were all terrible.
Yes, exactly.
So as much as I hate to use the words, do you guys think that the band sold out? Because they went from the street, Southern California, that whole scene.
No, because, and this will come into our conversation as we go on. I don't. Sound wise, I don't believe in selling out. Even going back to another band that we'll probably end up discussing, Metallica, when they went through their Southern rock phase. Like, bands, I think they just get older and they get tired of playing the same shit.
Right.
Like,
right.
If you go back and you look at interviews with Soundgarden around the time Bad Motorfinger came out, like, that's when they hit big, but they'd already been doing that shit for a decade at that point. And when that album came out, they were already kind of sick of making that kind of music. And if you notice, as the albums that came out after that had a different sound, because they had already been doing their thing before people had even heard of them. And that's just what bands do, unless it's AC/DC,
right.
The old joke about or Motorhead. Like, few bands truly maintain their sound throughout their careers. They get older, they evolve, they change. And I'm not I'm not mad at that, but I'm not going to keep listening to you once you're making adult contemporary music.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And we grow too, we grow and the bands grow. They do their own thing. Nobody starts a band and gets big so they can play shitty clubs for an $8 cover.
And as you guys know, having kids now, that changes you too. Like whether the three of us would really want to admit it or not, we're all mellower, we're deeper thinkers, we're slower to anger in a lot of ways. Well, in some way. But having kids, it mellows you out and it makes you more sensitive to certain things in society. And if you're in a band, that's going to change the way you make music. That's just how it is. So like I can't get mad at that stuff. And I think another key part of the conversation we're having here is our age. And I would be willing to bet that a lot of the music that died for us died around probably early 20s, because I feel like your musical taste in general, the average human that's not Henry Rollins, who makes a point of listening to a band he's never heard of like every day, but the average human, your musical taste is developed probably from about 14 to about 24. You've got about a decade to suck in whatever music you're going to, and any music that occurs outside of that age range,
it's too loud.
It's never going to mean as much to you as what came out during those years. It's just not.
That's an excellent way to put it. It really is, because you're developing yourself as a person, the kind of person you're going to become, and that music, that's the soundtrack of your life. To be
right,
cliche.
that's your development. And that's not to say that you won't find things that are meaningful and wonderful, because I've a band called Calabrese that I discovered in 2009 that are awesome. I ended up loving Ghost, who I hated when I first heard them, but now I love them.
My Ghost love went up and then down.
Yeah, I still am at the love them phase.
I've never heard those. Never heard of them. I'm about to check that out.
When I first heard them, I didn't get it. And then for whatever reason, with the last album, when I heard the song Rats, I was like,
that is a good song. That is a good song.
Oh, and then Dance Macabre came out right after Rats, and that really hammered home, like, oh, this is very tongue-in-cheek. This is basically prog rock. Like,
yeah, that's not the thing about them.
They're not like they're not actually trying to be like hardcore Satan people. This is an act. This is theatrical stuff. And then seeing them live, where the singer is talking about how he's going to tickle everybody's taints, and he turns around and shakes his ass at the crowd. Like, it's very, very
in
silly.
Full makeup and the prosthetics.
So that sold it to me. But anyway, we're not talking about stuff we love now. We're talking about stuff that died for us.
Stuff that died for us.
Keith, you and I have agreed Red Hot Chili Peppers are dead.
Anything after Blood Sugar Sex Magic is just doesn't exist.
That's unfortunate, because they are like so incredibly talented. They're collectively and incredibly
talented. I think we can say were.
So my pick, my first pick, or I don't know how many picks we're gonna do. This was a band I was really into for not a long time, but a good time. And it was an unusual band for me to be into at that time. Guns N' Roses. At the time, I was a little skate rat and had stupid hair and rode my skateboard around and smoked cigarettes and did all that stupid stuff, and listened to punk rock. But I always had a soft spot for Guns N' Roses. Always had a soft spot for Guns N' Roses until Use Your Illusion. And that came out at the same time Terminator 2 came out. And I was a big fan of Terminator 2. I love it. I think it's a great movie. And I like the integration of this band that I really liked being in this major motion picture, a metal band stepping up onto the main stage and getting into a huge blockbuster movie just at the time wasn't really a thing. So that came out, and then Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, and I just felt bombarded by several different styles. It was all Guns N' Roses, but it wasn't. And honestly, I didn't even really like Use Your Illusion 1. And I wanted to, because it was the big thing that, this cool band is coming out with 2 albums. They played with Metallica. They were metal. They were, starting riots at their shows. And that was the kind of thing I was into at that time. And I just fell off the truck at that point. And it's unfortunate, because I like Guns N' Roses. I like, Appetite for Destruction. I like Lies. And I'd like Use Your Illusion too, a lot of the songs on it. But I felt bombarded with the music, and it honestly felt too much. And I was like, this is not what I'm here for this band. I'm not a fan of this anymore. And then they fell off. They just kind of disappeared, and they tried to make their comeback. Hell, they toured once, and I had no idea they were coming to town, and I didn't miss them at all. So it was unfortunate, because I think they were a pretty talented group of people too.
That first album, that was just lightning in a bottle. That was
yeah. Appetite for Destruction was actually introduced me to the artist Robert Williams too, because he did the original cover art for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It hit so many notes, came out at the perfect time. That pre-grunge rock and roll, dangerous metal, but still, not like speed metal like COC or anything like that. It was safety metal, I guess.
I don't even really consider them metal. I just consider them rock and roll, and one of the best bands to ever do it for unfortunately a very brief time.
Brief time. And they went through whatever they wanted to. Everyone thought they were going to come out, and I think they did put out one album after Use Your Illusion, the Spaghetti Incident, and it flopped. It was terrible. So Guns N' Roses for me, man.
Yeah, I was there was a point in my life, obviously when they first came out in 87, Appetite came out. They were on MTV all the time, and anything on MTV was cool, which I think is another issue for us. One of the big problems with pop culture now is we're not all experiencing it at the same speed. Back when we were growing up in 1987, for example, literally everybody was aware of the same things because of MTV, because of the radio, whatever. Like, your mom knew who Guns N' Roses was.
Right.
Your mom knew who Whitney Houston was. She knew the top 40 songs because we were all listening to the same radio and watching the same TV.
Whether you liked it or not, the stories were there, and they were
we were all aware
at the same time.
But now I don't know who Nicki Minaj or Cardigan are.
Cardigan.
The Cardigans. They were a band.
Somebody make a shirt. Cardigan.
They
B.
were a thing. Cardigan B, Cardigan C.
I know what happened to the first one.
But Guns N' Roses were just this phenomenal mega thing. I thought they were really, really cool, but I never got way into them until at one point in my life, I had a roommate who would get up every single day and put on Appetite for Destruction in his room, very loud, either that or Operation Ivy. One of those two.
Man, that guy sounds like a dick. That guy really sounds like a dick.
Oh.
But I rediscovered them in a way when the Appetite for Destruction, they put out the deluxe album that has literally like everything they recorded in the studio around the time of the album. If for the listeners and for you guys, if you have not heard this, or if you don't have it, get it.
That might be worth it. That might take.
Oh, it's 100% worth it.
It's really what they were.
It has a completely different version because they recorded at what's the big studio out west that Dave Grohl did the documentary about it? Sound City, I think it is. But they recorded the album 2 completely different times, and both versions of it are on this collection, along with tons of B-sides, tons of live stuff. It's amazing.
That's really cool.
Appetite for Destruction Deluxe. It's the price is super reasonable. But anyway,
original cover art.
Yes, it is the original. Well, if you get the vinyl, it's got this cool chrome slip cover that comes off, and then the original cover art.
Nice.
It's great. But I agree, Guns N' Roses kind of. Now I got with Use Your Illusion. What was it? 91.
30
years ago.
Yeah,
it was the anniversary.
Oh God.
So we had to be picky about what we bought. Like, we weren't going to the record store and buying like 5 albums at a time. And Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out. I wanted Use Your Illusion 1 because I feel like I have to get the first one first. But then Use Your Illusion 2 had You Could Be Mine on it.
Yeah. And that's
so I got that one.
I got Use Your Illusion 2 first because of that song.
I didn't, because I could not, the insane person in me could not tolerate the idea of buying number 2 first.
Like you couldn't follow the songs because you didn't have
Yeah,
number
right.
one.
They wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't understand what was happening.
Civil War.
Yeah, but they, I got those albums and they never, they were good. There were a lot of songs on them I liked, but they didn't hit me. And after that, I kind of just really didn't care about Guns N' Roses anymore.
Yeah, they were good, and like you said, they didn't really hit me. They didn't lock on.
There's
I think
one really good album between those 2 albums.
Which one?
No, I'm saying if you
if you took
put them together,
songs,
cut off all the self-indulgent bullshit.
Right.
There's a good album to be made.
November Rain. And I think I was changing. My tastes were shifting at the time anyway too. I was getting away from all metal
coming in.
Yeah, I remember like being obsessed with the first album, and then as soon as Lies came out, I mean, that was one of the ones I went out and got. I got it, and I remember it was really short.
It was an EP. Yeah,
Lies
was an EP.
And I was like going, okay, I listened to it, and then I was just kind of okay. I didn't know what to think about it. I think I was just too. I don't know. I was expecting. At that time period,
Appetite
I was part 2. Yeah, I was expecting more rocking, and then it just didn't. After that, it just didn't take off for me. I don't even think I even own that one anymore. But I still listen to
Appetite.
Appetite.
It's classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's classic, but that's a good call, Dave. It's more rock than heavy metal, I guess.
And like I said, some of the best rock.
Dave, you got another one?
I do have another one, and this one is hard for me to talk about. This is one of my favorite bands of all time. My absolute favorite metal band of all time is Anthrax.
Oh,
really?
Really? I absolutely do. I mean, I listen to Anthrax constantly, even including after they changed singers. Joey Belladonna was technically I think their 3rd singer, but he was the main one you knew in the 80s. Started with Spreading the Disease, went through Among the Living and State of Euphoria and Persistence of Time. Previous to that, Neil Turbin and Dan Lilker, I think. But Joey Belladonna was the guy. He was the one I grew up with. He was the one I knew, and Attack of the Killer Bees. And then Joey left / was fired / we still kind of don't really know.
It's fuzzy.
And they brought in John Bush from Armored Saint. John Bush is an incredible vocalist. Armored Saint's a great band who's kind of forgotten now. If you hadn't checked them out, check them out. Great metal band. John Bush comes in and records this is tough for me to say. Technically, I think it's Anthrax's best album. It's very, very different, but Sound of White Noise is a landmark album because it's this intersection of metal and grunge. It's not really grunge, but it has that 90s alternative
anger
vibe, but it's integrated into Anthrax's sound that they've been evolving and cultivating for the past over a decade. But then after Sound of White Noise, they just get less and less powerful, it feels to me. And they do several albums with John Bush that just with diminishing returns. And after Stomp 442, which is the one that I got, and again, very similar to the Chili Peppers, I got it, and it's my favorite fucking band, and I'm listening to it, and I want to love it, and I just don't. Yeah. And they do, I think, 2 more albums after that with him. And it's not until 2011 that Joey Belladonna comes back to the band with Worship Music, and I love Anthrax all over again. But from 94 to 2010, for about 16 years, Anthrax, even though they were still active as a band, I wasn't paying attention to them at all because what they were doing just wasn't interesting to me. And I hate to say that because the key guys, Scott Ian's still there, Charlie Benanti's still there. They're the main guys, but what they've chosen to do for that time period just lost me. And I've even gone back now after Worship Music, after loving Worship Music, and then For All Kings came out, and it's also awesome. I still just can't dig on those albums.
That's interesting that you came back to them because you did. I remember you did the meet and greet with them, and
that was it. That was in 2011 when Worship Music came out. I was like, holy shit, they're back, and it's incredible. Went and saw them in 2012, and I'll say this because I never tire of this story. We did the meet and greet, and Joey Belladonna knew who I was.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's so
rad.
cool.
fucking mind-blowing experience. He's like, hey, you're the wrestler guy that writes. And I was like, you're Joey
Yes, I
fucking
am.
Belladonna. And what's
That's
funny
awesome.
is the reason that he knew me, I'm sure he had Google alerts or whatever set for Joey Belladonna and Anthrax. It's not like he was a Needless Things reader.
We don't know he wasn't.
I mean, we don't know he
We don't know he
wasn't.
wasn't. He's
But
regular folks.
What's funny is I found, even though he was polite, I found Scott Ian to be a bit standoffish.
Yeah.
And I realized there's a because what I wrote about Anthrax that Joey Belladonna read is basically what I just told you guys, is that for 16 years they were irrelevant to me. I think there's a good chance Joey Belladonna was like, hey guys, look at this article this guy wrote about us. Which was not as, I mean, I wasn't a dick, but I said what I just said. So
no, I met Scott Ian in Little 5 Points, and he's not very pleasant. Not unpleasant, but he's not
the most cordial guy in the world.
That's a good way. Yeah, he is not cordial at all.
Which is fine. Like I said, he signed my stuff. He signed my action figure. They were pleasant enough.
Cool.
We got the pictures. We did the thing. You know, back in the day, after Sound of White Noise wore off, and it was devastating to me at the time, because, like I said, they were one of my Faith No More, They Might Be Giants, Anthrax at the time were my big ones. I guess Beastie Boys was in there too.
Well, that's cool that you came back to it then.
I mean, it's great that they got Joey back. I mean, and that makes all the difference. If they hadn't, I think it'd be a different story.
So you got the original incarnation of the band back that you loved so much that it strayed and it went 6 different ways and then came back to the thing you loved.
Right. And not only was it the original members back, but it was the original or a progression of the original sound.
Right. Did you like the new sound or the sound that they had when he came back? It was similar to what they had.
Yeah, worship music is great. It sounds like because I mean, they're obviously thrash metal continued on whether Anthrax was playing it or not, and it sounded like if Anthrax had just kept playing thrash for all of that time. It was just as heavy, just as great, but evolved.
That's pretty cool.
It's great. That's fantastic. If you haven't heard worship music and you're a thrash fan, check it out.
Keith, you got another one?
I was sitting there. I was just sitting there thinking about it because it's like this is one of those ones where I kept buying albums afterwards because I kept going, it's going to get better. And I got several, and like
an old abusive relationship.
Yeah, and like, but because it went in a completely different direction, and I just didn't understand it. And remember, this one's going to go way back because this is when I was like 14, 15, around that era.
It's ABBA, isn't it?
No, not yet. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. 7 seconds.
Oh man, you're so good.
7 seconds.
All right. I know they had some weird years, but all right, go ahead.
It was after New End. Which one came after? It was either Ourselves or Soul Force Revolution. So yeah, it was Ourselves, and then when that one came out. So this is like skate, just kind of skate punk music. It's kind of like God, I hate to say it. I don't know, people are gonna get mad. Almost like Descendants level, but like not. I mean, Descendants to me is just some of the best.
The Descendants are amazing. I think 7 seconds will always have a place in my heart. Like
they will. Yeah. But like after New End, it was like when that next album came out, I bought it and I was like, okay. I was trying to get into it. I make myself listen to it, what I mean? And I was trying to skate to it and stuff. And it just kept going. It just wasn't as, I guess, hard, I guess. Yeah. And then right after that, the next one came out. It was more the same of that. And I was like, this is where they're going. This is them now. And then my buddy of mine was like, yeah, I liked them until they started trying to be U2.
Yeah, that's
unfortunate. Is that an accurate representation?
Yes,
kind of. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they really went a different direction, and it was. And 7 seconds was. I mean, I guess to put it in terms, they were a punk rock powerhouse. Skate
at the time, they were. I still have the poster up in my workshop of them. The symbol. Like.
And I'm pretty sure I told you this story. It had to have been. I don't even remember what Warped Tour it was. When I accidentally saw 7 seconds play, and they were on a fold-out bus. at the Warped Tour, so far away from like even the secondary stages. And it broke my heart that at this was the biggest punk rock festival going, you know, thousands of people were going to it, and 7 Seconds got relegated to like a fold out van on the side, and there was maybe 15 of us watching them play, and at like 11:30 in the morning. And I was like, I love this. I love seeing them play. It's great seeing them play, but they deserve better than this. They deserve a lot better than this.
And I had to question it too when I was thinking about it, like, because it's such a, you know, like I said, there's such a strong love for them,
Right.
love for them, and like, but when I was just trying to be honest, like, you know, what did I break up with, like, you know, which these bands that I just like stopped, you know, and I don't know if it's because of my age at the time and I was growing up, you know, and like I just didn't.
Maybe
and,
both. I mean,
yeah,
7 Seconds was growing, and they were doing their own thing and decided to go a different direction.
And it just wasn't my. Way. I will have to say it was closer to like when my buddy said that, when they started being like you too, that just stuck in my craw, and that was it. And like,
stuck in my craw.
And like I was,
you guys had a mutual breakup. 7 Seconds wanted to do their thing. And you were like, hey man, I wish you all the best, Kevin. Go do your thing, and I'm gonna go do my thing. Just a heads up, they just re-released The Crew on vinyl. So that's available now.
Here's the kicker too. Like, I still have all those albums, and like, you know, up at Ourselves and things like that, and I still put in the stuff afterwards just to go back and listen to it just a little bit,
just in case.
Because,
like maybe
sometimes
because there's still a memory there. Yeah,
well, sometimes you change and you look back at things and you're like, oh shit, because that's what I keep waiting to happen with those Anthrax albums. Like, I keep thinking maybe I'll get it, maybe they'll hit me a different way now, and they never do.
Yeah.
So you got this pile of albums that you're just hoping that's good.
It always leads to, like, you know, you put in a later album and you're like, all right, I'm putting a new in. Yeah. Like, you put
I tried.
Earlier.
I gave it the old college try. I can't do it. Yeah, that's like my next pick is kind of similar. Social Distortion was one for me. And I was a huge Social Distortion fan.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's I like to keep it low key. I don't like to put it out there too much. I was a huge Social Distortion fan. And I loved their music, their style, everything. It really, you know, I remember Keith would tell me Mark had that album, and I would do anything to get my hands on that vinyl.
1945.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I loved it. It was that skate punk. It wasn't. It was, they were coming into their rockabilly thing, and it was that punk, skate punk, rockabilly, cowpunk that I really liked at that time, and it really I glommed onto it. It was great.
And they're talking about like Mommy's Little Monster, like that.
Mommy's Little Monster. I really like Prison Bound, because
Prison Bound was great.
Prison Bound was awesome. It was something I'd never heard before. The first time I ever heard Ring of Fire, I was young. The first time I ever heard Ring of Fire was by Social Distortion, you know, and it wasn't until like I think 2 years later that I heard Johnny Cash's version. And I loved it. It was great. And 96, what is it? White Light, White Heat, White Trash came out, and I think that was one. That I think that was their maybe not their big mainstream album, but
no, it was 100% was.
Well, they had their video play with with Ball and Chain and all that.
Right, but White Light, White Heat, White Trash was the one that like 99X was playing.
Right, that was okay. That they got into.
What was the big song?
I was wrong.
I was wrong. Yeah, that played constantly. That was the hit.
Which I like that song by them. I really
like
do.
That album.
That was probably the last album I really enjoyed them. I could not tell you the names of any of their other albums. And that's unfortunate, because this band was like, I loved this band. I saw them play. I traveled to see them play. I think it was the first band I actually actively sought out like bootleg copies of things, you know, this was before pre-internet. Honestly, this was pre-eBay. And I actively sought out bootleg copies of things.
Imports.
That's right.
You had to go to your local record store, and they would have, there was Musicdrome. And
what was the one in Norcross?
Well, Norcross was Musicdrome.
Was it Musicdrome? The one by the pool hall, on Jimmy Carter.
That was Eat More Records.
Okay, yeah.
Eat More
I got
Records
some there.
had the bin by the cash register
Yep.
of, I think they would run like $30 to $35, and they were imports of live shows and dude, I used to have so many, and they got stolen out of my car because, like a dumbass, I had the old book of CDs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I lost a great box of tapes that way.
But yeah, the imports you used to be, and now it's actually kind of harder to find stuff like that.
It really, yeah, because it's all online now. You can get the streaming shows and all that. But that was the last album that I gave a shit about that band. I remember they released the album after that, and no, they put out a live album, and
Live at the Roxy.
Then they released their next studio album, and I can picture it. I bought it, and I listened to it, and I just didn't like the way that the music was going. It sounded it kind of got adult contemporary and very Bruce Springsteen-ish.
To me, Mike Ness's solo album is what killed them.
Yeah, it really did.
I feel like that's where he started to get that more introspective singer-songwriter vibe going. And then the next Social Distortion album reflected that, I think.
Yeah, and they did lose a couple of members of the band. A few of them died. I think 2 of the founding members died.
A few of them died.
For that band and their story, I mean, to be honest. Well,
yeah, that's true.
For them to last that long.
Shocking it didn't happen sooner.
I mean, I got to meet one of the band members at the Masquerade. I think it was their first big tour. And they played the Masquerade, and the guy, it's like meeting your idols. You're like, I finally get to meet this band. And the dude would not leave me alone. Like we were talking, and he got into one of those like conversations where he just wanted to keep talking, and his wife, girlfriend, whatever, was trying to pull him away. And he was like, no. He's like, we're talking about this thing. And I was like, I don't really have anything else to say to you, man. I like your stuff. Thank you for being in a cool band. And he's just talking. And I was just like, oh, wow. All right. Cool, man.
Security.
Yeah, security. The band is bothering me.
Yeah, with Social D, like the last album I got was just their self-titled. I mean, I think Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell, I didn't buy. I just didn't. I think I heard it, but I just wasn't as crazy about it because I was really stuck on Mommy's Little Monster, that style.
Yeah. That's their best album.
And I like Prison Bound.
I still listen to them from time to time, but unfortunately, I get bored with them very quickly, and that's
only
really
so much of that you need.
Yeah, it really is. Like Keith, I'll put it on, and I'll be like, oh man, I haven't listened to the Social Distortion self-titled in a while, and I'll put it on, and I'll get maybe 4 songs into it, and I'm just like, skip, and then I change it. Dave, you got another one?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You guys, you know what? I'm not even going to bring up Metallica because I think we all know where everybody stands on Metallica.
Yeah, we're good there.
This one's a little more personal. Primus.
Well, that's interesting.
Discovered Primus with Frizzle Fry. They were my shit. They were one of the ones that I kind of found on my own because you know how most bands probably you either a sibling tells you about them or your buddy tells you about them or whatever, but then there's like certain bands that you kind of discover yourself that feel like they're more yours. Faith No More was one of those for me, and Primus was one that was like weird shit that my friends didn't necessarily like, I connected with. And then the Brown album is the one where I was just kind of like, I don't know if I love these guys. And really, even Tales from the Punch Bowl like had some great stuff on it, but that's the one where I started to have the feeling like I don't know that I love Primus as much as I used to. And then the Brown album is the one where I was like, yep, I think I'm done with these guys.
I think you're done here. Yeah. Les Claypool did tell me to fuck off one night. So
he does that. A friend of mine from high school who would absolutely have done sexual things with Les Claypool if asked. Got to meet him once, and just this guy was just the sweetest, most we'll just use the word innocent guy. And he encountered Les Claypool and said, I love your music so much. It would mean so much to me. I just want to shake hands with you. And Les Claypool literally holds his hands up and goes, hey, and walks off.
What an asshole. That's awesome.
So yeah, that and I still love everything up to really even Tales from the Punch Bowl has grown on me a little bit. Like I'll listen to that album all the way through now, and I wouldn't do that even when it came out. But then the Brown album and the couple albums after that, I just completely lost track, didn't pay any attention at all.
Was it because your musical tastes were changing, or you just
They changed
because
their
Primus is pretty unique. It's a pretty unique sound.
Well, Les Claypool started to get into a lot of like jam band type stuff. He was doing Oysterhead. He was doing a project with one of the guys from Fish. He was getting a little more flaky and out there, and it was one of those deals where it was starting to reflect in Primus's music as well. I felt, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's just this isn't hitting me like it used to. And again, it was also coming into that, I was at this point, was Tales from the Punch Bowl was maybe 90, I guess it was 95. Okay. So Brown album was 96 or 7.
97.
97. So I'm 21. So I'm starting to get to that point where things aren't hitting quite like they were when I was a teenager. So that's a combination as well. But I will say this. Primus opened for Mastodon a couple of years ago, and I went and saw them, and it was awesome. It was great. I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. They played their new album, The Desaturating 7, which is fucking weird as shit. But they played it in its entirety there. And I felt it. Like it was special seeing that, because not everybody's going to get to see that. They won't be doing that every tour. They probably won't be playing songs because it's a concept album. They may never play live songs from that ever again. So like, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I bought that album, and there was an experience attached to that.
That's pretty
cool. I'm still not back to like, oh, Primus is great. And I will buy anything that they do.
Exactly on board with you on Primus too, just like I was with Red Hot. Frizzle Fry was the Too Many Puppies was the first song I ever heard by it.
Fucking incredible.
And it was my buddy Mark, we were after school one day, he goes, you got to hear this. And he just put it on, and it was on vinyl, and we're just listening to it. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, right. Is this a comedy album?
Yeah.
What is Herald of the Rocks?
Yeah. It was like, this is great. And then and then it was weird because like shortly after that, it was that's when Sailing the Seas of Cheese started like
same thing. I just happened across Frizzle Fry right before Seas of Cheese. So I got like those two, and then what was the one? Was there a live one?
Suck on This.
Suck on This. Okay. So I got like all of those within a few weeks of each other in the old CD long box. And then Miscellaneous Debris came out, and that was really fucking weird because it was all covers, and like I had heard one of the songs on there, but then I had to go check out like older Peter Gabriel, and like the weirdness of them was very appealing to me.
I love it when that happens. Like when you discover a band, and all of a sudden it's like, say like their first album, whatever, and then you're turning around and there's 3 other ones that just came out, and you're like, what? And you're like, holy cow, I got a lot to listen to.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
I love that. Like that happened to me with Fugazi. They're a band I love. I mean, there's no breakup with them.
But $5 show.
Yeah. Yeah. When I remember like hearing 13 songs and just like discovering it, and it was like literally the next week Repeater was coming out. And
nice.
I was like, I go, what is this? This is great. And like, oh, these are the guys that are Minor Threat. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is awesome. And then they're like, oh yeah, there are new albums coming out next week. I'm like, sweet.
That's convenient. I got into Minor Threat, and then the next year, Fugazi. So I kind of lucked out there.
Yeah, it's cool when it flows like that. You're like, oh wow, it's all just piled on top of you, and you're like, great.
So Keith, do you have is your clown down for any band in particular that you broke up with?
Red Hot Chili Peppers,
or died
man.
for you? Red Hot.
I am with Dave on that. That was one of the ones I was thinking of, and I was like, I'm 100% in agreement. Everything after Blood Sugar Sex Magic was just garbage.
So your clown is down for Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
No. Hate it for you, Dave.
Yeah, same thing. My clown is down. Like out of all the bands we've talked about, and this is what a softy I am. Is half of mine were redemption stories that came back later on.
That's great though. That's really
cool.
And
it is awesome. But yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. My clown is super down on those Sorry, motherfuckers.
Man, I wish I had listened to them more, or
No, you don't, because they would have
No,
broken
like,
your heart too.
I do like the old stuff. Like I am a
Oh.
fan of the older stuff. But then I just went like at a certain point I went a different way, and that's unfortunate. But
Well, and
I guess it is for I guess I got out right in time. So
it didn't, like, they didn't hit everybody the same. And again, it's, we've that common thread of the weirdness, I think is what's there, is you've that for early Chili Peppers to have really hit you, that weirdness of Primus, of Mr. Bungle, of some of the other shit we've talked about. That's got to be something that you're into and seeking out.
Definitely.
Pete?
Well, my clown is down. I think it's going to be for Social Distortion, simply because I got the band tattooed on me, and I really owned the band. I liked him, I enjoyed him, and then it just fizzled out. It really did, and that was unfortunate, because I do love the band. I love the experience. I loved everything about the band, and then they just went a different way, and I went a different way, and that was terribly unfortunate.
Well, I mean, it shocked me when you said that.
Oh, really? Yeah. I never thought I'll say it. I dislike their newer stuff. I really don't. I think you're absolutely 100% right about Mike Ness's solo stuff. Killing it. I liked his cover album he did of country songs. His original stuff I could have probably done without.
We don't need that deep a look inside of Mike Ness.
Yeah, we got it. I saw the movie.
It's fine.
Did a bunch of heroin. You got clean. Good for you, man. Just get back to the thing I like. So dance monkey.
So RHCP and Social D.
Yeah, a lot of
Done.
a lot of SoCal there. SoCal is how they say it.
Oh, here's a bonus question I was thinking of.
Okay.
Are there, just off the top of your head, are there any bands out there, their entire catalog, that you could just put on and not skip any songs? Just
Faith No More.
Faith No More for you?
Operation Ivy.
Op Ivy.
I keep it really narrow. Really. That
Tall
album.
order, buddy.
Yeah.
I think mine was the Slackers. Like, I think is for me.
That's a good call. Well, I'll change mine to Rancid. I think I could do Rancid and not skip a song at all.
Yeah.
I can only listen to Rancid for so long without giggling.
It's I know, but there's we get it. You don't brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
I like the organs. Okay, I like that. The organs.
I like Rancid, but
I understand what you're saying.
Come on, buddy.
We have a Shane McGowan. Let him live his last day. And then Tim Armstrong, you can step up. You think we're wrong, or you think our clown should not have been down, let us know why. Let us know why we're wrong, or you think we're wrong. Because remember, these are our opinions.
That's right.
Fucking amateurs.